it's bizarre when religion actually tries to interfere with science in ways that don't make any sense. Like one of my favorite ones was the Pope talking to Stephen Hawking, and he told him that it was okay to explore the nature of the universe, but it wasn't okay to explore the origins of the Big Bang because that would be like questioning God himself.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that hilarious?
Yeah, religions to me.
Like he was like telling him what. I mean, this was like our lifetime. I mean, Hawking's still alive, so this was in our lifetime. The Pope was telling this guy.
He's still studying the Big Bang.
It's so silly that could ever get to a point where it could happen, where this nutty cult member actually could get into a position in this day and age that could. I mean, it didn't have an influence other than to make a humorous anecdote. But it's still, what if he listened?
To reinforce his notions, really. I mean,
and who knows what his own psychological proclivity might be. There are some people that are subject to the influence of people that you wouldn't be or I wouldn't be. And, in certain cases, like someone who's in a big position of power, like a pope.
Well, for thousands and thousands of years, religion is the bedrock. It's what keeps people united. It's what keeps them alive. I mean, to have a shared culture, I'm... Like I have Native American in my background, right? And I'm always really, growing up, I was always interested reading the history and thinking about, why did Native Americans get basically wiped out, and also Aborigines and things. And you think about the fact that, like in Australia, all the different tribes in Australia, they all spoke different languages, and they all had a certain amount of land, and they were kind of in stasis. I mean, they fought with each other, but everything always kind of ended up the same. There was no one group that conquered all of Australia. Right. And then you think about Europe and other more bellicose places, China, you've got places where they enforce one culture on massive groups of people, right, through religion, and they're incredibly effective. They travel all over the world and wipe people out. They work together. They build cities. There's great utility in having people think alike like this. But then, there's also a drawback, and the drawback can be that it's resistant to change, and it doesn't adapt for new circumstances.
So it's almost like you could look at religion as an operating system on a cell phone. Like it allows you to get things done, but if you don't update it and continually update it with the latest versions.
Well, science naturally updates itself. You can always go back and prove something wrong, prove it for yourself, fix it, update it with new information. I mean, that's the strength of science, but that's scary because there is no bedrock. Right. You know how much you don't know. And you really have to trust yourself a lot, I think, to really trust science, because you are acknowledging that you don't know everything.
You're allowing a thought into your mind that a lot of people do not find comforting, and that
really
is
scary.
That no one is watching this thing. No one's paying attention to this. Then we essentially live in a soup of madness, and that is the world that we actually exist in. And we want to pretend that we're in this strange Sandra Bullock movie where everything's going to be okay and everything's going to be normal. And one of the best ways to do that is to think that there's a guy that lived a long time ago that came back from the dead, and he absolved you of all your bullshit. You just got to take him into your heart, and you're good, no matter how bad you've been in the past.
Well,
and they go with that.
It's not about you believing it. It's about lots of people believing it. So you draw strength on other people.
Yes,
and
good point.
I think it's a natural human thing to do. I don't think
it's an operating
wrong with
system.